Bruce Lorincz, and this show is called Bruce on the Loose. I talk to people throughout Medina County, city government, Wadsworth, the school system. We did a recent show on Habitat for Humanity and had a dedication on the 10th of April, and the family is in. And on Durling, they're building a house right next door, and that is very, very positive for Wadsworth. We also did a couple shows on Warrior's Journey Home. Dr. John Schloop from the Talmadge area is the coordinator, and Peggy Hegbar from Trinity Church was also involved in the training, and we really thank them for their assistance and help. Today we have Andy Booth, the head basketball coach for the ladies here at Wadsworth High School. And Coach, thank you very much for joining us for the show.
Thanks for having me, Bruce.
What about your educational background? Let's start there.
Well, I graduated in 1985 from Lucas High School, small school outside of Mansfield.
Sure.
Went to Malone College at that time, now university. Played basketball there and got my degree. And then I went on to Ashland University and got my master's through Ashland. So long time ago, time ago.
Right. What about your teaching assignment at the high school currently?
Well, currently, and I arrived in 05-06 school year, so August of 05, special ed certification, and at that time there was no SBH unit at the high school, so when I was hired I was the first person to lead that unit, and that's still my position today. So I've been working in special ed for many years. My parents were both in special ed teachers, so kind of had that background coming in, so it's been very fulfilling for me in terms of job-wise here at the school.
Does your teaching assignment help you a little bit to be patient? Sometimes a player just doesn't do things quite the way you want to, but maybe you work with them and they finally get it.
Sure. I mean, I believe that coaching is teaching and teaching is coaching. I think they're hand in hand. I think they're one and the same. I think any good teacher will tell you they must be patient. All kids are different. They learn differently. Same thing with coaching. And you know, I think that's probably a trait that if you don't have it in the coaching or teaching business, you're not going to be around for very long.
Yeah. When did you decide to become a teacher and coach?
Well, as I mentioned, my parents were both in education, and you know, the funny thing is when I graduated high school, I thought, well, maybe I'll go some other route and go into business or something to make many, many millions of dollars. But you know, once I got to college and started playing college basketball, I realized that teaching and coaching was something, in fact, that I wanted to do and continue. So it didn't take long to figure out that was a lifelong passion for me.
Did you have a mentor in your early days of teaching and coaching?
Yeah, I think a lot of my coaches, I think with most kids that get into the coaching field, their high school coaches are probably the guys and gals that they look up to. And my football coach was named Jerry Cooper, great guy. Learned a lot from him, a lot of motivational techniques, and of course my basketball coach was named Jim Stimmel. Still teaching after 40-some years down in Hilliard, but those two really had an impact on me, and you know, kind of steered me in the right direction, so to speak.
Let's move on to did you have some jobs and background before you came to Wadsworth?
I did. I actually taught at a couple alternative schools, which was very good experience in terms of working with the clientele that I have in my field now. So that was great. Then I moved on to Crestline High School over in Crawford County for 3 years, and worked under Jim Bauer on the boys' side. I'd also actually, before I went to Crestline, coached 2 years at Mansfield St. Pete's on the boys' side. So went from Mansfield St. Peter's to Crestline High School, taught on the boys' side there. I had coached a little bit in college as well, grad assistant. But then prior to coming to Wadsworth, I was the head girls coach. My first head coaching job was at Mansfield Madison, home of the Rams, and got the head coaching girls job there in 98, 99 season, and was there for 7 years.
What interested you to throw your hat in the ring at Wadsworth?
Well, really I'd started to look in general for my family and my teaching career and coaching career, because at that point in time, back in the mid-2000s, at Madison, they were going through some financial issues, levy-wise, and I had been bumped around a couple teaching positions just due to being one of the lower guys on the totem pole, things like that. So I guess I was looking for a little bit more stability for my family. I had 2 young kids at that time, and when the Wadsworth job came open, I didn't know a lot about it. I knew that Wadsworth had been to the state girls tournament and won it in '97, and of course went back in '98, '99. But I didn't know anybody from Wadsworth. That's really the extent that I knew about it. So I knew it was a good basketball program. So I talked to a couple of my coaching buddies, Dave Slayball from Highland, Berlin Highland in particular, who I played with in college, and he said you definitely should apply for the job, quality position. So I did, and the rest is history.
Why is it important for a head coach to be in charge of the entire program?
Good question. I think that, you know, it really is. It's your program, and if you don't have your hands at least somewhat around that whole crew, starting in the youth leagues up through junior high, freshman, JV, etc., you kind of want to put your stamp on it, because by the time they get to the varsity level, you want those kids to know exactly what your philosophy is, how you want your program to run, what you're teaching those kids. So you want that familiarity all the way down through. And I try not to. I don't think we have a heavy-handed approach. I don't think that's the way to go. But you help when need be. You try to be present. You try to. You know, we are getting ready to run our little kids camp, our youth camp, which we've done here since I've been here, and it's this year's kindergarten kids. So we have next year's first graders. We lower the rims down at the middle school, and we get them in there, and we start working with them for a couple of days this summer. So, you know, it extends K through 12 here in our program.
Your coaching staff has been really an asset to your success, hasn't it been?
Sure. Our coaches, 3 in particular, have been with me every year since I've been here for 17 years. Mike Schmelzer, Sr., has been our JV coach, and Tom Carnes has been our varsity assistant, along with Mark Postak, a Wadsworth graduate, for every year I've been here. And those 3 actually started at Mike and Tom Carnes. They both started in the '96-'97 season, so they've been here 25 plus, and Coach Postak has been here since I think '91, '92. So you just don't find that type of loyalty and commitment. You know, you're looking at a quarter century of these guys giving back to this town and this school and this program. It's almost unheard of. Greg Pickert's been with me for a long, long time as our 8th grade coach, and I've been very, very blessed to have these people to work with.
What are some of the hardcore fundamentals in your coaching philosophy? What should a girl anticipate being skillful at in your program?
Well, I think the biggest thing that we promote, a couple things obviously. Number one is you have to work hard. I think that goes without saying. I don't think there's any successful program, no matter what the sport. If the kids aren't willing to work hard, you're not going to be successful. So I think that's number one, and I think that the kids that come through our program and through our schools, they're hard workers. I think defense, we've always hung our hat on that. You know, we tell our kids, if you want to play, you better be able to play defense. So certainly the offense gets noticed, you know, the ball handling, the shooting, the three-point shooting, the passing. That's what makes the headlines, but to win games, you better work hard and play defense.
I'm sure you're very proud of the girls that go on and play college basketball. It doesn't matter if it's Ashland, Toledo. I think your daughter played at Rhode Island.
Mm-hmm. New Hampshire.
Oh, New Hampshire. I'm sorry.
Yep.
I got
East
New
Coast.
England.
East Coast.
East Coast, in the same vicinity.
Right.
But I'm sure that makes you proud of the program. The girls can play on the next level.
Well, absolutely. You know, a lot of our kids that have that desire to get to the next level, I think coming through our program, I think that a lot of college coaches respect what our kids do to get to that level, and they're willing to take a look our way. It's very competitive. I think 2 to 3% of all high school kids go on to play college in their sport. So over the years, we've been very fortunate that A, we've had good kids, B, they've caught the eye of college coaches, and then C, they've been very successful. So that kind of helps the next generation when a kid like a Jody Johnson or Sophia Fortner or a lot of Peyton Banks has been the All-American the last 3 years at Siena Heights. So, you know, we've had many, many kids come through that have gone on, and, you know, it just makes you feel good to watch them succeed then at the next level.
And not only are they playing basketball and promoting that to younger kids, maybe coming back into the area, but they're getting a degree. They're going to be career people.
Sure, there's no question about that. And you know, they obviously are recognized as basketball players, but when you can help out your parents and yourself financially by getting some of that schooling paid for, if not all of it, and then come away with a college degree, and then with the connections you make through those athletics programs, and set yourself up for them for your career, it's pretty rewarding.
The Suburban League has kind of changed a little bit since you've been
Sure.
the head coach in your 17 years. There's probably not too many easy games on your schedule. I look at Stowe, Hudson, Broadview Heights, and boy, they're usually very, very competitive.
Well, yeah, and I don't know how many years ago it was, probably 6 or 7, when we went from a 2 or 1 division format to 2 tiers, kind of a smaller, bigger school. That certainly changed things. You know, we went from being the big fish in the pond, and now I think we're the 5th biggest out of our 7 or 8 schools in our division. So it's competitive every night. I think the first goal that we set every year is to win the Suburban League. The program, since way before I've gotten here, has been very successful at achieving that goal. And you know, that's the first thing we're going to talk about on June 1 is how can we win the Suburban League next year.
Seems like the senior citizens of the community have almost adopted the girls basketball program. That really must make you feel happy, and you know you're going to have a really good base of fans at each and every home game.
Well, I think that's one thing that we really are proud of is we feel that we have one of the best fan bases in the state of Ohio. And I think our senior citizens are a big part of that. I think that they appreciate the way that our kids present themselves on the court, the way they work hard, and I just think that they feel a sense of belonging to our program, and we try to make them feel included. You know, because you walk out, you know, you're at the state tournament, the Schottenstein Center, and you walk out, boy, and you hear that roar from that red-clad crowd. It makes you feel pretty good.
And if it is an inclement day, WCTV here has broadcast your games. In fact,
Sure.
Drew told us before that he's filmed for 6 years, and they can watch the games a little delayed, but they probably really get into that as well.
Well, it's another thing that makes Wadsworth unique is our television station, who does a fantastic job, you know. And I think it gets our kids excited. You know, how many kids get to say, well, I can watch myself play on TV, or grandma can watch me play on TV, or even people online out of state can watch them play on TV. So it's another neat element to our school and our program.
The second season in high school girls basketball is the tournament, the Ohio High
Sure.
School Athletics Association tournament. And it seems like every team, no matter how they've ended the year, has a fresh start. And that has to be exciting for all the coaches.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I mentioned our first goal is always the Suburban League, but then our second goal is that tournament success. How are you going to set yourself up to be successful? And, you know, this past year, for example, you know, we made a deep tournament run, got to the district finals, and that level of excitement, when you get to that district level, regional level, obviously the state level, it's just something that you make those memories, those kids make those memories, they last a lifetime. And not only for the kids, but the fans, the student body. There's really nothing else like it, I believe, in athletics, when you can, you know, like I say, you're playing in front of a packed crowd. We played Medina this year over at Elyria Catholic in their gymnasium, and it's kind of a little bandbox, but boy, it was hot, noisy, and exciting, and those are things that you just you savor, because those are the things that you remember.
And those younger students, the seniors and the juniors down, they get that experience, and it's something that they almost have to go through to experience, to learn that. And Wadsworth doesn't, you will play a freshman or sophomore if they have the talent and skill, won't you?
I tell them, you know, and again, our first day that we'll start this year will be June 1st. That's the first day the OHSA allows us to work with our kids, and I tell them every year, I don't care what grade you are, we're going to play the best players, because bottom line is, they do count the wins and the losses here at the high school level. So we started a freshman point guard last year, and she did fantastic. The year before, we started another freshman. We have a good freshman class coming up. So I think as long as everybody, no matter what grade, they're working to their best potential over in the off season and improving in small increments, then we as a whole, we're going to be so much better for it.
Was there a turning point the year Wadsworth High School won the state basketball tournament under your tutelage? Was there something small or a player that stepped up that you really didn't see that coming down the road?
Well, we mentioned having experience. In the 4 years prior to that, we had made it to the regional finals, one step from state. And with each passing year, the kids just, you get that close, the work becomes more, and they want to get that next step farther. So that particular year, we had 3 seniors that had been playing for 4 years, so they'd lost 3 regional finals. And we had a crew of sophomores that had played as freshmen and a couple of juniors that had played as sophomores. So we had a lot of kids back. And I just think that years of experience going through the process, knowing what it takes, not only during the season, but more importantly, probably in the off season, I think they were just tired of getting that defeat at the regional final level. And finally, I think it was a case of this is our year, we're not going to be stopped. And I think that was their mindset all year. And the mind is a powerful tool.
What are some of the things that you will have the girls work on over the summer? A basketball player can really take the next step up in the summer, can't they?
There's no question. We have a saying, basketball players are made in the summer. If you pick up the ball in the beginning of practice in October and then don't pick it up again after March, you're going to be in trouble. You're going to get passed by, and you have to be dedicated. So the things that we tell our kids, because we only have 10 days that we can coach them in the summer, so we're limited. We can open the gym for them and let them shoot, but we really can't coach them during those days. But it's the time they spend on their own in the driveway or going to somebody's gym and working out on their own. That's when they're going to get better. And we haven't had too many kids come through our program that haven't put the time in, because the skills will be lacking. It's apparent and it's obvious. And so really it comes down to ball handling and shooting. Those are the 2 things that you can do. It's you, a basket, and a ball. You don't need anybody else. So if you put the hours in, you're going to get rewarded for it.
It seemed like we beat Mason twice. Our team that won in '97, and you
Right.
beat Mason, I think by 5 points possibly.
I think it was 60 to 51.
Okay, great, fantastic. But it seemed like they were catching in the second half.
Yes.
They got a little closer at the end of third quarter. I looked up; it was 44 to 40.
Right.
What was going through your mind at that time, and what adjustments did you make to go ahead and secure that state championship?
Well, in that game, we had played Mason earlier that year. We lost 1 game that year, and it was to Mason at the Classic in the Country.
And I think you were still ranked at
We
number
still ranked
1.
1. Yeah, we were ranked number 1 going into that game in mid-January, and then we lost, and we still were ranked number 1. So, however that worked out. But Mason, really, they put it to us. They beat us by 11 or 12 down there, and we struggled against them. They were obviously a very good team. And in that state championship game, we jumped out really early. We were up at halftime, I think 15 or 16 points. So we started out fantastic. Couldn't have been any better. And then, so third quarter, they made an adjustment. They went into 1-3-1 half-court trapping zone. And they had 5 or 6 girls over 6 foot, so they really could cover a lot of space. So it wasn't so much what we weren't doing, it was more of what they were doing. And their point guard had 3 fouls in the first half. Now she's back on the court, which obviously helped them. She was a 4-year player at University of Arkansas. So, but the funny thing about that, you all kinds of things go through your mind. But then looking back, we scored 30 in the first half and seemed to struggle in the second half, but yet we scored 30 in the second. So we scored 30 in the first, 30 in the second. So offensively, we were pretty balanced. And game of basketball has its ups and downs, its flows, ebbs and flows, and they just made a run at us, and I think the big thing was we hit a couple buckets that really kind of got our confidence back. And once we got that confidence back, I felt pretty comfortable that we'd be able to close it out.
I think Jody Johnson scored 28 points in that game.
28 or 29, yeah. Pretty big.
She certainly the good players rise to the occasion, don't they?
No question about that. And I think through the regionals in the state, the 4 games stretch there, I think she averaged close to 28 points a game. And she was just a kid who you could see from her freshman year, she played for us as a freshman, just grow and develop, and her confidence level was so high by that time. I think in her mind, I think in her mind she knew that felt that she was the best player in the state, and she certainly played like it.
We talked about the mental approach to the game, and if things are going well for you, it certainly is a situation where students will take that next step and really know what they can do and be all that they can be.
Well, there's no question about that. I mean, I think we talk all the times to our kids about confidence, and I think confidence comes, a lot of it, from skill level, and the skill level comes from the work that you put in. So if you want to be a confident player, you need to have those skills. They come hand in hand, and once you get to that point, though, you're hard to stop.
We talked about the support of the senior citizens. What about your training staff? Sometimes injuries, or
Oh,
so
sure.
the X factor that with ankles and knees and basketball players, it's a non-contact sport, Coach, but
So they say.
sometimes they get dinged up a little bit. How have they helped you, and the administration and the teachers? I'm sure during tournament time, everyone probably gives you a hint
yeah.
what to do, but it's probably really exciting.
Well, it is, and you're right. We have a lot of support staff, and 2 gentlemen that work here in the Wadsworth area, Dr. Crawford and Dr. Boyer, have been here since I've been here, and I think before, do a fantastic job coming in and working with our injured kids. So we really appreciate those guys. We've had a number of trainers since I've been here. Right now it's Dave Frisbee and his staff do a nice job. We work in conjunction with SUMA. So you don't, it's rare that you go through a season without nicks and bumps and bruises and scrapes. It's just when you get those serious injuries. We had a kid, Sienna Matheny, sprained her ankle in the district semis this year, couldn't play in the district finals. It hurt us, it really did. But so injuries are part of the game. Sometimes you have to be lucky and kind of work through that, and you just never know. But I think the staff that we have working with our kids is fantastic. We have a strength and conditioning coach named Laura Hanzu, who does a great job. The kids love working with her. So, it all goes hand in hand, but a little luck never hurts.
Yeah, no question about it. We talked about the Wadsworth community, the seniors, your staff. Why is the Wadsworth community such a wonderful place to teach and coach?
Well, I think there's a lot of things that go into it. I think we're a Division I school that feels like a small town. In terms of being close-knit, I think that the town, no matter what the sport it is, could be football, volleyball, softball, baseball, girls basketball, boys basketball, whatever it is, I just think that the Grizzlies have a special place in the town, the city of Wadsworth. And, I came from Mansfield, Ohio, which was a great place to grow up as a kid, but it's just a different feel here. Like I said, it's a place where the community supports at school. We're the only show in town, so to speak. There's not 3 or 4 schools in our area, in our town, which some towns have that, but I've really never seen another school district like that in terms of how much the city will embrace its kids and support the programs.
You mentioned about your problems at the regional, getting past Toledo team. It seemed like each year they had some new recruits.
Oh, sure.
And some new people every year. But Wadsworth, the kids that you work with kindergarten,
Right.
they may stay in the program. You may see them when they get into high school.
Oh, there's no question. Every year we have our high school players go down and work with me at the youth camp. And those kids that are sitting on the floor looking up now at these high school players, those high school players were sitting on the floor 10, 11 years ago. So yeah, that's a point of satisfaction that I think when we won it in 2016, I had a guy say to me, "You guys just accomplished one of the toughest things in high school sports." And I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "A public school with homegrown kids just won the Division I state championship." So that was a very great point, and we're proud of that fact.
I know I still do a little umpiring in the spring, a little softball, and we've come to the point where getting officials is not very easy, Coach. And I know you probably have your attitude about some of the officials, but we're kind of rushing them up.
Sure.
where we had 3 years of probation. Now it's just 1 year, and they could be doing varsity games. Do you have any suggestions how we can get more qualified officials?
Well, it's tough because I think that there's a lot of factors that go into that. I mean, and I don't know which is the right way to start. It could be, is it the pay? Is it the interest in general? Are people not wanting to be involved in sports? But I think a lot of it has to do with, officials take abuse from fans, officials take abuse from coaches. And I think a lot of people in this day and age, they don't want to listen to that, and I don't blame them, So, I don't know that it's getting any better. I think right now it's getting worse. You hear a lot of reports, which is really just sad. I'm really proud of the way we handle things at Wadsworth. Our fans are typically fantastic, but it's tough. I mean, not a lot of people want to get into that. It's not worth the money to take that abuse from people in the stands. So hopefully something can change. That maybe is a societal issue, but that's a deeper topic.
The national office did make your very point that they want fans to cheer for their club and not disparage the other team, right, or get on the officials. And I've talked to a lot of people, and that's the number one reason that they and it's a closed-in environment as well.
Sure.
Coach Booth, thank you very much for enlightening us on the girls basketball program, and good luck in the future. I know June 1 rolls around. You probably can't wait to get the girls ready for next year. Good luck to you.
We appreciate you having me, Bruce.
Thanks very much for watching.
You are watching WCTV, Wadsworth Community Television.